Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for those who have been following me, please continue to do so and share this commentary with people that you think will find this information informative. And man, I got to bring up my hometown again, Chicago, Illinois. We're in a time now where black men and women have had many opportunities that our predecessors didn't have, as far as in the political arena, of course, in arts and entertainment and sports. Black athletes are making more money now than they ever have been. The LeBron Jameses of the world, Steph Curry's, Jason Tatum's. But their predecessors, the Magic Johnsons, the Larry Birds, and Michael Jordans, set the foundation for them to be able to do it. And the same thing applies in the political arena. Here in St. Louis, we had Freeman Bosley, who was the first black mayor in the early 90s. And now we have Mayor Tashara Jones, who's the first black female mayor. And of course, in Chicago, you had Lori Lightfoot, who was a mayor. And now you have Brandon Johnson, who's an African-American male mayor. Lori Lightfoot was a black woman. And then you have the gentleman that's the mayor of New York City, who is the mayor. And both the mayor of Chicago and the mayor of New York have been in the limelight because of this migrant sanctuary city crisis that's been taking place. So both of those guys have been in the forefront here lately. I think the state's attorney is a black female in the state of Illinois. I think she was one of the prosecutors on the R. Kelly case. And we have a black female vice president, Kamala Harris. Of course, Barack Obama was the first black president. So you have black folks that are doing some wonderful things and in positions of power. We also have a black female president of Harvard University that was tied into the whole anti-Semitic rant that's been taking place on college campuses like University of Pennsylvania, MIT, and Harvard. And as I said, the Harvard president is a black female. But I want to talk about Chicago and some of its smaller cities. In Chicago, historically, in politics, going all the way back to the Kennedys, in the John F. Kennedy and the Kennedy family, early 60s, and even Al Capone, has always had this cloud over his head of corruption. Al Capone with the mafia, and then political corruption. You have Blagojevich, who was the governor that went to jail. You had Ryan, Governor Ryan. You had several governors that have gone to jail out of the state of Illinois. And I think in the last 50 years, the state of Illinois might be number one for political and business corruption. They might be over New York and Los Angeles. And the latest scenario is you do have this mayor in Dalton, Illinois, Tiffany Henyard, black female mayor, who's all throughout the news with her running Dalton like she is like she's playing the role of New Jack City, Wesley Snipes' role in New Jack City. She's doing all kinds of erroneous, potentially illegal things that are taking place in Dalton. But right next to Dalton, a mayor just got convicted. 49-year-old Lawrence Jackson, who was the mayor of Riverdale, Illinois, which is right next to Dalton. And he just got sentenced to 10 years for federal perjury and obstruction of justice from a garbage company that he was affiliated with. He had fired the garbage contract from Tri-State Disposal Company, and then he ended up hiring a new garbage company that he was in bed with, which is a conflict of interest and all of these kinds of things. And then there was a federal inquiry about it, and he said he had nothing to do with the garbage company, and come to find out there were text messages and phone calls, and the federal government was able to restore those things and bring them into court. It's amazing how these individuals, especially politicians, they should know that your state and federal government is recording and has copies of everything, and for anyone to decide to do something illegal, to think that they don't have any evidence, especially the federal government, they're not coming after you unless they got it. And so, and the state of Illinois has, in the state of Illinois, since 2000, there have been 891 convictions of businessmen and politicians, more than any other state. Almost 900, from governors on down to state representatives to local politicians. And now we have 49-year-old Lawrence Jackson, the mayor of Riverdale, that's right next to Dalton. And then, of course, there's an investigation on Tiffany Henyard in Dalton, Illinois. He just got convicted for 10 years for federal perjury and obstruction. And a lot of these young people, Tiffany, Lawrence Jackson, Tiffany Henyard, Lawrence Jackson, they should have paid close attention to the ex-mayor of Detroit from some years back, Kwame Kilpatrick. The federal government came after him hard, and there were all kinds of allegations going on with misappropriation of funds, the collateralization of businesses, the conflict of interest, the same things that Lawrence Jackson, 49 years old, that just got convicted for federal perjury and obstruction of justice. This is right in Riverdale, Illinois. When are these politicians going to learn that history speaks for itself and it can repeat itself? If you're going to go into politics, especially if you're African American, that you need to be squeaky clean and do the right thing. Be squeaky clean and do the right thing. And this is an unfortunate circumstance. This is a small town in Chicago on the south side, Riverdale. Dalton is a small community, and but you can manage millions and millions of dollars, and you could have a citizenship of 20 or 30,000 people that live in your particular district. So there is a nice sum of money that they are accountable for versus being the mayor of the entire city of Chicago. And there's accountability and responsibility and level of maturity that goes with it. But this is a very unfortunate circumstance. Had to deal with a garbage disposal company, 49-year-old Lawrence Jackson. And it's an embarrassment and unfortunate. And we know as African American people, you only can make one mistake. You don't get to make 10. And even if your predecessor was doing all kinds of things and got away with it, that does not mean that you will be able to. And I think you're going to see some swiping federal investigations take place in Chicago to Tiffany Henyard. Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, needs to be very careful and paying attention to what's going on in his circumstance. Lori Lightfoot, they couldn't stand her. And of course, you had Rahm Emanuel at one time, who was good friends with Barack Obama. But politics can get tough and it can get messy. And this is an unfortunate circumstance for Mayor Lawrence Jackson out of Riverdale, and has been convicted for 10 years on perjury and obstruction of justice. He's got a 10-year sentence. So let's pay close attention to the Tiffany Hinyard situation in Dalton. Let's pay close attention to the mayor of Chicago, the city of Chicago, and this migrant crisis and all these things that are taking place. And Chicago is turning into a boiling point of corruption, messiness, chaos, disruption, the number of carjackings, murders, gun violence that is taking place. We have to make sure in our local politics that we are putting the right legislators, the right leaders, the right city councilmen, the right state senators, the right aldermen, the right mayors in to represent us as our leader in our citizenship here in the state of Illinois and in America as a whole. There's been enough corruption over the years, and enough is enough, and they will send you to jail. Just ask Kwame Kilpatrick in the past out of Detroit. Detroit has had his years of corruption over the decades, and Chicago has been number one. Almost 900 convictions since 2000 for businessmen and politicians, from governors on down. And Chicago needs to look in the mirror and manifest its truth in the right way, and live in a positive, moral, and ethical city and society. So thank you for listening. Please check out that scenario on 49-year-old ex-mayor Lawrence Jackson from Riverdale, Illinois. It's unfortunate, and now he's got to pay the piper and spend some time in federal prison. Talk to you next time.